Hello everyone and welcome to round 5 of the 2019 Tata Steel Chess Tournament. We haven't been covering every round as I didn't really feel like the games that were played were really that interesting to show. There were a couple of them, but I was rather busy and we're also covering the Capablanca saga, so I hope you don't mind. But we are going to cover 2 games from round 5. And do I have a question for you? Now, do you remember when was the last time Magnus Carlsen won a game in classical time format? You should know since we covered that game on this channel, so feel free to pause the video and really think about your answer. For those of you who were able to do it, congratulations, you are an excellent subscriber. And for those of you who answered, he won a game against Nakamura in the Sinfield Cup in 2018. You almost got it right. He did win that game, but he also won one game after that. It's his game against Potkin in the European Club Cup. We also covered that game. And after that game, Carlsen drew 4 of his games in the European Club Cup. Then he drew 12 classical games against Fabiano Caruana in the World Chess Championship match, that's 16. And here he drew his first 4 games in the Tata Steel Chess Tournament 2019. So that's 20 games drawn in a row. Which is a lot for any player, let alone the world champion. So here he faces Jorden van Foreest, who played last year in the Tata Steel Challengers tournament. For those of you who are new to chess, maybe new to hold this whole tournaments thing going on, the Tata Steel Chess Tournament comprises of the Masters tournament and the Challengers tournament. The last year's winner of the Challengers tournament was Vidit Santosh, so he Gujarati, so he's now of course playing in the Masters tournament, and I believe Foreest finished in 5th place, so I guess he's maybe got an invitation to this year's Masters, or perhaps he's a wild card. It's hard to say. If any of you do know the exact information, do share. I will also add it in the description or pin your comment or whatnot. But yeah, it was on October 13th last year that Carlsen won his last classical game. So without further ado, let's check out this game. It's a very nice game, features a line that was played in the match Carlsen versus Caruana. I don't know if you've been following that match. If you haven't, do check it out. It's really an intense match, but I will we're just gonna stroll through the opening as we've covered that in pretty much every game of the Carlsen-Caruana match since Carlsen played it with the black pieces in every game. Knight f3. Let me just fix that. Knight to c6, we have d4, so this is the Sicilian defense is on the board. C captures, knight captures, and the knight to f6. We have knight to c3, and now e5, we have the Lasker variation, or the Pelikan variation of the Sicilian. Knight db5, everything the same as in Caruana versus Carlsen. d6, and now comes knight to d5. Everyone was surprised when they saw that Jorden went for this variation. Very brave of him, as of course Carlsen is really into opening theory, unlike Capablanca, especially about this line. He had to of course prepare it for Caruana, and it's I don't know. Of course, Carlsen knows this better, but then again, maybe he didn't look at it after the World Chess Championship match, so maybe Jorden prepared something very nice for him. But on the other hand, maybe he thought it'd be a good psychological weapon against Carlsen, as he failed to win a single game using this line in the World Chess Championship match. So either way, a very interesting approach. We have knight captures, e captures, and now if you remember, in 2 of the games in the World Chess Championship match, Carlsen retreated with knight to b8. In the other 2 games, he played knight to e7. But this game, the game 2 of them are playing, will be following a move-by-move game 2 of the rapid section, where Carlsen was able to win with the black pieces. But okay, knight g6, we have queen to a4, now threatening discoveries, bishop to d7, this was all played in Carlsen versus Caruana. Queen b4, getting out of the pin, and now queen to b8. Everything exactly the same. Here, Jorden as Caruana played h4, Carlsen plays h5, bishop to e3, here we have a6, knight goes back to c3, and in this position Carlsen played a5, here attacking Caruana's queen, and Carlsen was able to win that game with the black pieces. But as everyone knows, these games, they are probably the most famous games played in 2018. Of course, Jorden Van Foreest knows them as well. So Carlsen here doesn't go for this. It seems that Carlsen analyzed his own games as well, as even the rapid ones, and he plays f5. And this is indeed the better choice. The engine prefers this move to this one that he played against Caruana. And as of this moment, we have a completely new game that was never played before. It's I don't have the exact same time Jorden used in this position to make his next move, but I do have the final times on the clock. If anyone knows how much time Jorden spent on this move exactly, do share it. I will also either give it a heart or something, so everyone else can also enjoy this information. But okay, here we have queenside castle. Bishop to e7, Carlsen is preparing to castle kingside. We have g3, and now strengthening the h4 pawn, and now comes castles, and also preventing f4. Bishop to e2, attacking the h5 pawn, and here Carlsen goes for e4. He sacrifices the h5 pawn to make his attack happen just a little bit faster. And here, indeed, if you capture knight e5, knight d3 is a threat, you have to go back with the bishop, then comes b5, and already Carlsen is starting a very strong attack on the queen side. Captures, a3, and you still have to activate your bishop pair, but after something like bishop d8 to a5, maybe this bishop can go here, maybe to g6. It will be a very strong attack for black. So after e4, we have bishop to d4. Jorden doesn't bother himself with the h5 pawn, but rather he prevents knight to e5. He prevents it with a nifty trick. Of course, if this, then bishop captures, pawn captures, queen captures on e7, wins a bishop. So after bishop d4, Carlsen goes bishop f6. He wants to trade bishops and then go knight e5. Bishop captures, we have rook captures on f6, and now queen to b6. And okay, knight to e5. We have king to b1, getting his king to safety, and now comes bishop to e8. Now the bishop can either control the queen side or it can go to g6, but also it frees the d7 square for Carlsen's knight to kick away the queen. After the queen is kicked away, then Carlsen can start activating his queen, his rook, and so on. We have rook to d2, and now comes knight d7 as planned. Queen d4, and queen to c7. The queen is now also activated, and now Carlsen's other inactive rook can come into play. Knight to d1, maneuvering to e3. We have knight to e5, and now comes knight to e3. And here the knight is nicely placed, but also it's not really doing all that much. It's pressuring f5. It can never come to g4. It gives further protection to the c4 pawn, but it can never go to c4 himself. So it's hard to say. Carlsen doesn't waste any more time. He decides to open lines. He plays f4, attacks the knight and the g3 pawn. G captures, rook captures, and now comes rook to g1. And here you can already see that the semi-open g file is very useful for white. There's no immediate danger, like if you move the knight, you're getting checkmated, as the queen from c7 is also controlling the g7 square. But you know, the pressure is there. Bishop to g6 by Carlsen, aligning this bishop with the king, very useful. Also, it for the moment it blocks the rook's attack towards the g7 pawn. King to a1, getting out of this nasty diagonal, and now comes rook a to f8, finally activating the other rook, doubling up on the f file. And here you have to decide what kind of a player do you want to be. Do you want to defend the f2 pawn and stay passive for the rest of the game? Let's say knight d1 defends the f2 pawn. The queen is now also defending it, but now the queen and knight are pretty much stuck defending that pawn. It's a very hard position to play. You can either capture on h4, you can play knight f3, you can go b5, a lot of options for black, and black will be better in every situation here. So Jorden decides to not to go for this passive defense, but rather for an active last call. He plays c5, and c5 is a very nice idea. It comes with the idea that if d captures on c5, then queen moves, preparing to push the passed pawn via d6, and after the queen blocks, now bishop captures on h5. This was his idea. After bishop captures, now you get knight c4 attacking the queen, but also comes with a double attack against the knight on e5. and now you cannot capture. The queen left the c7 square. It will be queen captures on g7 checkmate. So you would have to just move the queen, let's say queen f6, and then comes knight captures, and then white, white is still playing this game. Black is better, but white has a passed pawn. He equalized in material. It's possible. But after c5, Carlsen, he didn't become world champion by missing ideas like these. He plays rook captures on f2, just grabbing a pawn, increasing the activity of his rooks. We have queen to c3, and now not d captures on c5. If you play this, then d6, you're no longer defending the knight. Now, after you move, it's white who's actually winning. So Carlsen simply plays queen captures on c5. He's up material, he has no problems trading queens, and it's very hard to decline this queen trade. If you play something like knight d1 to either trade queens here, doesn't really help you. You can simply play queen captures, knight captures, and then knight to f3, where you can either grab the knight with as both of your rooks are under attack. You can either capture here and then rook captures, or you can capture on g6 and then knight captures on d2, wins the exchange either way. You make some room for your king, you force the rook back, and then black is still better up the exchange, has more pawns, a completely winning position for black. So after queen captures on c5, which was played in the game, we have d captures, and now comes d6. When Foreest tries to push his passed pawn, and now going knight f3 immediately seems like a great idea, forking the rooks and everything, but here it would actually allow white some saving chances. After bishop to c4 check, you open up an attack against your rook on f2, which is undefended, and after bishop here, rook captures, you would get bishop captures on c4, now rook to c1, attacking the bishop, and after bishop moves, of course, it will be black will still, even being down in exchange, will be better as he does have a passed pawn here, but white will definitely be able to save this game. So after d6, first Carlsen plays king to h7. He doesn't allow this check to even remain a possibility. We have d7 by Jorden, and now comes knight to f3. This was the last move. It was in this position that Jorden Van Foreest resigned the game, and it hasn't been a great tournament for him so far. Before facing Carlsen, he was a 1 out of 4. I believe he's now 1 out of 5. So I don't think he won a game. I think he got 2 draws and lost all the other games. But still, playing such an impressive game against Carlsen, and choosing the line that he knew that Carlsen was, absolutely prepared for. He used it in the World Chess Championship match. It's very, very brave, and he really wanted to play good chess. You don't get it's not every day you get a chance to face the world champion, so better make it count. But yeah, again, it's there's really nothing to do here. After bishop captures, you'll play rook captures on d2, guard the d7 pawn, and after rook to d1, offering to trade, you can simply trade down, bishop captures, and now after rook to d8, it's rook captures. You're up the exchange. You're up 3 pawns, a completely winning position, and of course Jorden does not want to test Carlsen's skill in converting this into a win. So yeah, that's a game from round 5 of the 2019 Tata Steel Chess Tournament. I do hope you enjoyed it, and congratulations to everyone who guessed when Carlsen's last win in the classical time format was. But now the curse is broken, and this now becomes his last game that he won in classical time format. We're also going to cover one other game. It's Sam Shankland versus Ding Liren. Excellent game, but every game by Ding Liren is an excellent game. Even his draws are excellent. That guy is unable to play a game that's not excellent. But yeah, okay, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Scott Sterry, Eric Ald, Paul Staples, Wayne Wiley, and Ross Glennie for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. Like we said, the game Sam Shankland versus Ding Liren, and then as soon as I manage, we're continuing the Capablanca saga and the 1911 San Sebastian tournament. Thank you all, and I'll see you soon.